Hello my friends, hello again. Today I am going to speak in intermediate English to you guys about something that is not very pleasant to speak about, okay? It's not a happy part of life, it's a sad part of life, and it's something that is affecting a lot of people around the world, but I see it all the time here in the US, especially when you go to big cities like Chicago, okay? Today, we are going to talk about addiction. Addiction. What is addiction? Addiction is an obsession or a physical and mental dependence on a substance or activity. Okay? Now, addiction can be to a substance, such as alcohol, any various type of drugs, cigarettes, prescription medication, and even things like caffeine, okay? Even things like caffeine. Now, addiction can also be to certain activities, okay? And some of the more common activities that people are addicted to are gambling, like going to casinos. A lot of people these days, hoy en día, are addicted to pornography and sex, okay? Some people are addicted to shopping. Some people are addicted to eating. So addiction is when you are completely dependent and you cannot stop either taking these substances or doing these activities, okay? Now, addictions are usually harmful. Now, there are some that are much worse than others. For example, I would say that it is much worse to be addicted to smoking crack cocaine or doing heroin. Much worse. That is much worse than to be addicted to something like shopping or gambling. Yeah, they're going to hurt you financially, but they're not destroying your body in the same way that these hard drugs are, okay? So I'm going to tell you guys a couple of statistics or facts about addiction here in the US that I looked up online. And then I'm going to tell you guys some of my experiences with addiction and just what I think about the topic, okay? What are some of the causes of addiction? Why do people get addicted to these actions like gambling, pornography, sex, or these substances like drugs or alcohol? Why does this happen? Why are people becoming addicted? Well, one is mental health problems, mental health conditions. Mental health conditions and addiction are very closely linked, okay? Very closely linked, because people who are addicted, they are trying to get away from something that they do not like about their lives, okay? So oftentimes they use these substances to make themselves forget, olvidar, to forget about the thing that they hate about their life or hate about themselves, okay? Or they go to the casino and play the games so they don't have to think about the bad things that happened to them when they were children. Or maybe it's a veteran, and a veteran is a soldier who fought in a war, that we call that a veteran. So maybe it's a veteran and he was in a war and he had to see combat and fight people, and now he sees these bad images in his mind, so he does drugs to turn off his mind and stop thinking about them. Okay, so mental health is very closely related, because you are not going to find somebody who's addicted to a substance or addicted to pornography or sex or gambling or any of these negative habits that does not have some sort of mental problem that's the root of their addiction. So they say that another big cause is environmental factors. So what is an environmental factor? It means where you live or where you grew up. So access, and access is having these things around you and being able to get them. Access to these drugs or these bad activities is very significant and closely linked with addiction. For example, if you live in a very poor neighborhood and there's a lot of people selling drugs, okay, you are much more likely to be addicted to those drugs than if you lived in a nice, safe area where there's not drug dealers on every street, okay? That makes sense. All right, so now my experiences. Have I ever been addicted to anything? I've certainly had issues with some things, okay? But I wouldn't say I was addicted. So, for example, I drink a lot of caffeine. I drink a lot of caffeine, energy drinks and coffee, and I know it's not good for me. I know that, okay? But I justify it in my mind by saying I work so much, I need a little bit of extra help, all right? I know that's wrong. And if I stopped drinking caffeine today and had no more, if I could not find any caffeine to drink, I would have bad headaches, okay? Because my body is used to a bunch of caffeine coming in, okay? So it would be hard for me to quit drinking coffee or caffeine because there would be negative side effects, okay? I would have bad headaches, and I've tried this before, and the headaches are really bad, all right? But I can't say that I'm addicted because even if my headaches were bad, I would never steal. I would never steal from my family to be able to get my caffeine, okay? I would never hurt anybody else. If I had this little headache, I would take an ibuprofen and go lay down in my bed for a little bit, okay? So, yeah, I drink and consume a lot of caffeine, but I cannot really say that I'm addicted to it. The other thing that I've had an issue with when I was younger was alcohol, okay? I drank a lot more alcohol than I should have when I was younger, before my son was born. So I was maybe between 21 and 23 years old. I drank a lot of alcohol. And it was definitely a problem because it was not helping me in my life. I was wasting a lot of time. I gained a bunch of weight because I was drinking a lot of beer, okay? And I was not doing positive things, okay? I was in my house drinking beer, and instead of having hobbies, instead of exercising, instead of learning, all right? So that was a really negative thing. And I drank a lot, and I was drinking pretty much every day at that time. So it was definitely a problem, but I can't say that it was an addiction because when my son was born, I quit. When my son was born, I quit. And I did not get sick, okay? A lot of people who are real alcoholics, who are really addicted to alcohol, when they stop drinking, they get something called the shakes, okay? What is the shakes? The shakes is when an alcoholic stops drinking alcohol and they cannot control it. They shake, okay? I've seen this. I've seen this happen to people, okay? And when I quit drinking alcohol, that didn't happen. And I had a really strong reason to quit because I knew I was going to be a dad, and I knew that I had much more important things to do, more important responsibilities, so I quit. I quit drinking alcohol. And one thing that I will never forget that really helped me to stop was when I told my mom that I was going to be a father and my son was going to be born. She was not happy at first, okay? She told me something very honest that was hard for me to hear, but I needed it. She said, "You drink all the time. You're always drinking, okay? You are not ready to be a dad. You drink too much. You cannot be drunk and be a parent, okay?" So, thanks, Mom, for telling me that. I needed to hear that. So that really helped me. Now, how did I stop drinking alcohol? I started running, okay? Every night when I would usually drink, I went outside. I took my dog with me, my dog Oreo. You guys know Oreo. I took Oreo and we ran. We went for a run. Instead of a drink, I went for a run. And that was one of the best choices I've ever made, okay? And right now, I don't drink. I haven't drank in probably a couple months now. Every now and then I'll have a glass of wine at dinner or something, but really, I try not to even do that, because if I have one, then I'll want more. I'll think, oh, it's okay, I could have one or two or three. So I really try not to even do it. Maybe if it's a very special occasion or a really nice dinner, I'll have one glass of wine. So those are things that I have battled with as far as addictions, but I can truly say I've never felt addicted. I was just doing these things too much. So I'm very happy that I got that under control. I still drink a ton of caffeine, but there are much, much worse things that I could be dealing with, right? So I have to be grateful that it's just caffeine. Coffee's not going to kill me, hopefully. Now, I have seen other people with real addictions, okay? My best friend who passed away earlier this year, he was definitely addicted to alcohol, okay? He tried so many times to quit drinking, and he would make it for a couple days, okay? He would make it like 3 or 4 days, and then he would stop texting me for a day or two, and I knew he went and got drunk and he failed, you know? And the thing about it was, he was such a good guy, but it's like that, like the statistics that I read for you from the Cleveland Clinic. This all has a root cause, okay? He didn't have mental health problems, I wouldn't say, but he had some traumatic experiences from when he was a childhood, and he grew up his whole life with his parents basically telling him that he was stupid and a loser, and he'll never be anything good, okay? So that's what he was drinking to run away from. His parents gave him an inferiority complex. And what is an inferiority complex? It's when you think that you are never good enough, okay? So sadly, for my best friend of almost 10 years, he had something like that going on in his mind, and in his own mind, he was never good enough. So he fought with alcohol for many, many years, okay? And he was addicted, and I could tell you he was addicted because he was arrested 3 times for driving while drunk. So if you don't learn your lesson the first time that you go to jail for drinking and driving, and you don't learn your lesson the second time, you've got to be addicted, right? Because he spent so much money, and he lost his license for like 10 years. He could not drive. He had to ask people, hey, can I get a ride to work? And it was terrible, embarrassing, okay? And I would not be telling my friends business like this, chismoseando, sobre mi amigo, but he is dead now. He passed away earlier this year. And if I could use his story to maybe help other people, I know he would be happy with that, because Ernie was a good guy. He had a good soul, and he cared about other people. And I've also seen people addicted to harder drugs like pain pills, okay, friends or friends of friends or family members of friends, okay? And when you're addicted to these harder drugs like pain pills or cocaine or heroin, there is nothing that you won't do to get your drugs, okay? And that's terrible. It's terrible because these people will steal from their own mother, okay? They'll steal from their own mother just to find their next drugs, okay? I'm sorry for saying this, guys, but I've seen this too. Women will have sex in order to get more drugs, all right? And if you are selling your body, you're basically selling your soul, okay? You're selling a little piece of your soul to get drugs. There has to be something really bad going on up there, and I feel terrible for people in that position. So what do I think about people who are addicted or who are going through these things? It's sad, and when we look at them, we judge them, okay? Get out of here, you bum. Get out of here, you junkie. Okay, a bum is vagabundo, and a junkie is somebody who's very addicted to drugs. They don't do anything good. All they do is steal and lie to get drugs. Okay, in English, they call that a junkie. And we judge them and get out of here, you junkie. You're good for nothing. But the truth is, we should feel sorry for these people. We should feel compassion for these people. And I don't know, if you're religious, pray for them. But the sad part is, there's nothing you or I can do to help somebody who is addicted. They have to help themselves, okay? We could be there for them if they need someone to talk to, support them, tell them we're proud of them when we see them doing good. But change has to come from within, and they've got to want to change and be willing to make these changes in their lives. Alright guys, I know this was not one of my happy or funny videos, but it's a serious topic, very serious topic. We're starting to see more and more and more of this in the big cities here in the US, so it's going to be important in the future, to be able to understand and speak about these things for you guys in English. I hope this was a useful video for you, an interesting video. I hope you got some great English input from this video. And I appreciate you guys. I hope that if you or someone you know is struggling with things like this, I hope you know that it is possible to live a better life. It is possible to change. The one piece of advice I would give to somebody who has something in their life, a negative habit or addiction they're trying to get rid of, you cannot just stop that addiction and keep living. You have to replace it with a positive habit, okay? Like with me quitting alcohol, I started running, and that was the only thing that helped me, okay? So the only way to get rid of a bad habit is to replace it with a good habit, all right? That's my little piece of advice for the day. I appreciate you guys so much. Como siempre, muchísimas gracias por ver. Nos vemos pronto.